8 years after my husband discovered my affair with my boss. Subscribe for more powerful real-life stories. 8 years ago, my life shattered in a single night. A night I'll never forget. Back then, I was married to Andrew. We had been together for nearly a decade, and while our marriage wasn't perfect, it had its moments of love, comfort, and shared dreams. But cracks had formed. Small ones at first. Missed dinners, short conversations, unspoken frustrations, until the silence between us became deafening. I had been working at a prestigious marketing firm for 5 years. That's where I met Patrick, my boss. He was confident, successful, and charismatic in a way that drew people to him. He had a way of making me feel seen and heard in a time when I felt invisible at home. At first, our conversations were harmless, venting about work stress, joking over coffee breaks. But slowly, those conversations turned into lunches, late-night texts, and eventually something I can only describe now as a whirlwind of poor choices and emotional escapism. I knew it was wrong. Every moment with Patrick was laced with guilt, but I convinced myself it was just a phase, something I could control, stop, or walk away from at any time. But I was wrong. Andrew wasn't oblivious. He had noticed the late nights, the sudden work trips, and how distant I'd become. He started paying attention. One night when I got home late again, he was waiting. He had found the emails. Explicit, undeniable proof of my betrayal. His face. I still remember it. The mix of hurt, disbelief, and devastation in his eyes cut deeper than any argument could. I didn't even try to deny it. What was the point? The truth was out. I had broken the one person who had stood by me through everything. He walked out that night. He didn't return for 2 days. When he finally came back, it was only to pack his things. He told me he was filing for divorce. And he did quickly. Those first few months were a blur of shame, regret, and isolation. I took a leave of absence from work. I couldn't bear to see Patrick or pretend that life was normal when everything inside me was unraveling. Eventually, I resigned. The whispers at the office, the pitying glances, the cold stares, they were unbearable. I moved into a tiny apartment across the city. It was the kind of place where no one knew my name, and I liked it that way. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. We didn't have children, which made the paperwork easier, but emotionally it was gut-wrenching. Our families had been intertwined for years, and the fallout rippled far and wide. Friends chose sides. Some disappeared completely. The loneliness was suffocating. But I knew I had brought it on myself. After some time, I returned to the workforce, joining a small local agency where no one knew my past. It was a fresh start, at least on paper. But the guilt followed me like a shadow. I threw myself into work, hoping productivity would drown out the self-loathing. Didn't. Eventually, I started therapy. I had to understand what led me to betray the man I loved. Not just what I did, but why. I learned that the affair wasn't the root of the problem. It was a symptom. Our marriage had been struggling for years, and instead of facing those issues with honesty and vulnerability, I had run from them. Into the arms of someone who offered an easy distraction. Around that time, I heard that Andrew had started dating again. Through mutual friends, I learned he met someone named Claire. She was warm, grounded, and everything I wasn't during our final years together. A year later, I heard they had moved in together. 3 years after the divorce, I saw Andrew for the first time at a mutual friend's wedding. We exchanged polite words, but the weight of our history hung heavy in the air. He looked well, calmer, lighter. I, on the other hand, still carried the burden of what I had done. That encounter pushed me deeper into my self-work. I joined a support group for people who had experienced infidelity. Not just the ones who were betrayed, but those who had been the betrayers too. It was eye-opening. I wasn't alone in my mistakes, and hearing other stories gave me a clearer understanding of the damage such actions cause, both to others and to oneself. By the 5th year, I had found a semblance of peace. A friend and I launched a small graphic design business, something I had always dreamed of. It was a slow climb, but for the first time in years I felt like I was building something real, something of value. Then I saw the engagement photos. Andrew and Claire had gotten engaged. The images were everywhere on mutual friends' feeds. His smile wider than I had seen in years. When I saw the photos, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Happiness because he deserved that joy. Sorrow because I had lost a future that could have been. Regret because I had only myself to blame. Still, I sent a card. A short note, nothing too emotional. Just congratulations and well wishes for their life together. A few weeks later, something unexpected happened. Andrew reached out. He thanked me for the card and asked if I'd be open to meeting for coffee. Not to reopen old wounds, he wrote, but for closure. When we met, it was surreal, like seeing someone you once loved in another life. Really talk, about the past, about where we had ended up. He told me he had spent years angry, devastated, but in time, he realized that we had both played roles in the breakdown of our marriage. He had regrets too, about the times he ignored the signs or took our bond for granted. He didn't say those things to justify what I did, but to show that he no longer viewed me as the villain in his story. I forgave you, he said. Not for you, but for me. I couldn't carry that pain into the life I was trying to build. We left that cafe with no promises, no rekindling of anything, just understanding, quiet peace. Today, 8 years later, I still run that little business, and it's grown in ways I never imagined. I've started dating again, carefully. I know now what I want in a relationship. Honesty, communication, accountability. I won't lie. I still carry the weight of what I did. I always will. But it's lighter now. I've learned that redemption doesn't mean erasing the past. It means growing from it. I lost my marriage. I lost Andrew. But in the wreckage I found something else. Myself. And sometimes that's the hardest and most valuable thing to discover. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life story videos.